Hello, my name is Kayla Borton, and I am in my final year at Indiana University South Bend, studying elementary education with a concentration in early childhood education and psychology. The video you are about to watch was created so that I can display my success and challenges during my student teaching experience. It is a complete reflection of the time I have spent here at Walkerton Elementary. My placement school is Walkerton Elementary School and is in the John Glenn School Corporation. Walkerton Elementary School is home to 545 students. We are a Title I school with 89.5% of the student population being white, 5.9% Hispanic, 3.5% multiracial, and 1.1% being African American, and 0% of all other ethnicities. 39.1% of students receive free lunch, 14.7% reduced, and 46.2% paid. In the 2017-2018 school year, 94.4% of students passed the iRead state test and 55.6% passed the iStep. Walkerton is a small community where everyone knows everyone. With only 545 students spanning grade levels K through 6, all administrators and teachers are on first-name basis with almost all of the students. They really try their best to know every student by name. I truly believe that building a relationship with my students in your school, whether they are in your classroom or not, is the key contributing factor to the success of the school. Walkerton Elementary School is so fortunate to be able to offer many interventions to students who struggle academically. Some of these interventions include Title I, special education, and aids in the classroom. At the beginning of the year, the Title I teachers went to every room in the school and ranked all students according to reading levels. This is how they determined the students that would be pulled for remediation. Also, the special education team at Walkerton is amazing. These teachers work together to meet the needs of all students. Finally, another highly important form of remediation in this school is the aides, who either poll individuals or small groups for reading remediation. Each grade level in the school has their own aide or aides. At Walkerton, the teachers were the ones to decide which students would be polled to reading remediation with the aides. This benefits the students in the classroom tremendously. I truly believe that having these interventions, as well as the relationships established between the staff and the students, has helped the school and the students to be successful. The students here feel safe and welcome to express themselves academically, and thus students are engaged and therefore there are not a tremendous amount of problems regarding behavior. However, when behavior problems do occur, if they cannot be resolved within the classroom, the principal, as well as the school's guidance counselor, are there to help with these delicate situations. Because they take the time to know each student in the school, the students are able to talk with them and we can resolve our issues and determine what brought about the behavior issues in the first place. I am so fortunate to have been placed with two amazing teachers throughout my time of student teaching. First, I was placed in a kindergarten classroom, and I ended my student teaching experience in a fourth grade classroom. In both placements, I felt that I was able to connect with my students and influence their learning in a positive way. My first field placement was in a kindergarten classroom, and my cooperating teacher was Emily Walker. I really felt right at home in this kindergarten room. Emily is such a fantastic teacher and really welcomed me and guided me throughout my entire field placement. I not only had her email, but she gave me her phone number as well and told me to call her or text her anytime I needed to. I was there with her on day one, and she never treated me as though I was not a teacher. I really can't say enough about how amazing my experience with her really was. Emily really helped me to see that this really was my calling. She once told me that she has had several different student teachers with her throughout her career, and most of them are all great teachers, but not many of them would make great kindergarten teachers. She said, "That is not the case with me." She said she could easily see me as a kindergarten teacher and loving my job. She is right. I loved being in my kindergarten placement. One major success that I must share with you was in kindergarten. Most of the kindergartners came into school not being able to identify any of the letters in the alphabet, which of course there are some exceptions. A few of the students had known some of them, and some of them, one student specifically, was able to identify all 26 letters. Due to most of these students having never been in any type of school environment, and several of them being special ed, and a few of them having major behavior issues, Mrs. Walker never felt comfortable completely leaving the classroom for the entire day. But she did, however, let me take over teaching in my second week of my placement. She just remained in the classroom and guided me and gave advice whenever I felt I needed it. I was fortunate to be with them for the first 9 weeks of their education and was able to see a tremendous amount of growth. In just the first 9 weeks, they went from not being able to identify their letters to being able to identify all or most upper and lowercase letters along with their beginning sounds. Some students were even able to sound out some words using letter sounds. It was very rewarding to know that I was able to help these students achieve academic success. However, I do not feel that this would have been possible had I not been able to build such a great relationship with Emily and all of my kindergarten students. I would be lying if I said that transitioning into 4th grade was not difficult for me. I had built such a great relationship with all of my kindergartners, and I really did not want to leave them. I really felt that they needed me more than the 4th graders would. However, before I transitioned into 4th grade, I volunteered for an after-school lock-in and was fortunate to be able to meet some of the students I would soon be meeting in Mr. Reese's 4th grade class. I am so grateful that I did this because it allowed me to not only learn the names of some of my students ahead of time, but it also enabled me to start building relationships with them early. This experience was definitely more challenging for me. The 4th graders are not as affectionate as the kindergartners. However, I routinely shared with them how important it was for me to get to know all of my students and how happy it would make me to build a relationship with each one of them. I really feel like this impacted them greatly. For example, one day my entire class of kindergartners came into my 4th grade class and they all gave me hugs and told me how much they missed me. When they left, I told my 4th graders how much I loved the connection I had with each of my students, and then they really started to open up with me from this moment after. However, because the 4th graders switched classrooms for homeroom, math, and reading, I definitely felt like making connections with each one of them proved to be more difficult than with the kindergartners. This was my biggest struggle. Not only just because they switched classes, but also because I saw over 60 4th graders throughout my day compared to just 20 kindergartners. So building a relationship with some of them, ones whose names I was still struggling to remember, was quite challenging. In the end, I learned all of their names, but it took me much longer than I would have liked. While I know that all of my students have learned something from me, and that is great, I would like to be able to say that I built a strong relationship with all 60 of these students as well, but I know that is not the case. There simply was not enough time. As I have stated before, I believe that building relationships with students is the most important aspect to successful classroom management. No matter what you choose to be your classroom management, whether it is Clipchart or Class Dojo or something else, building relationships should be the number one most important aspect of classroom management. With the kindergartners, it was very easy to get to know each of my students and build a relationship with them. My teacher used a behavior clip chart, and I found this to be highly effective for most of the students. The students really wanted to be able to move their clip up and earn a reward at the end of the day. However, I did notice that whenever a student would have to move a clip down, it seemed to completely shatter their little hearts. Some of them would end up completely shutting down, even though we would tell them that if they started behaving, they would have the opportunity to move their clip back up. Truthfully, if I use the clip chart in my future classroom for K2, I will take out the clip down aspect of it. Rather, I will only use the clipping up. When I see a student is on task and doing what they are supposed to, I will announce out loud, "Wow, Janie, you are doing such a great job at following directions and staying on task. Why don't you go move your clip up?" The other students, seeing her be rewarded, will encourage them to also be on task and follow directions. I did a lot of this while in Emily's class, and it seemed to be really effective. In fourth grade, however, classroom management was very different. They used what they called a mark system. Students would receive marks for anything the teachers felt were a behavior issue. Not completing assignments, not putting names on papers, talking in class, not bringing the right book to class, and so on. Then, on Friday, students who had 3 or less marks got to participate in the incentive activity from 120 to 155. Students that did not remain in their classroom and had to read or be on iReady. Honestly, I did not like this form of classroom management. I do not feel like they were rewarded for positive behavior at all, except for on Fridays. In my future classroom, I will reward positive behavior as much as possible. In fact, I am already building up my prize bin for rewarding my students. I just truly feel that rewarding students' positive behavior is much more effective than punishing the negative behavior. After all, who doesn't like to get a prize? Throughout my student teaching experiments, I truly feel like I have learned so much. With all of the resources, experiences, and relationships I have built throughout my time here at Walkerton Elementary, I finally feel ready to take on my own classroom. I have learned so much about classroom management and building relationships with staff and students, and I am truly looking forward to applying it to my own classroom and my own school students. I really cannot express enough how much I have learned about teaching literacy and learning how to properly use all of the teacher resources available to teachers. The literacy programs at Walkerton Elementary are so different from kindergarten to fourth grade, but one thing they both have in common is that they use iReady reading to teach literacy. However, iReady is a new program and is still in the testing stages. Fortunately, teachers also use alternative methods of enrichment. In the kindergarten classroom, we use centers to teach literacy, and I learned so much from this experience. I learned how to properly incorporate centers into my classroom, and I learned the value of having them implemented into the classroom. I definitely feel like guided reading at the teacher tables during centers is one of the most important 20 minutes of a student's day. I feel like they gain so much from this time and that it is just more significant than I can even express, and I will most definitely be incorporating this into all of my future classrooms. Throughout this video, I have spoken a lot about building relationships with students, but I truly feel like building relationships with the staff of the school where you work is equally important. I can honestly say that I feel as though I have established some great relationships with the staff here at Walkerton Elementary. One of the easiest ways for me to do this, honestly, was probably in the teacher's lounge during lunchtime. During lunch every day, I sat in the lunchroom and talked with the other teachers. We got to know each other on a more personal level, and this made me feel more comfortable to come with them with any questions I had regarding teaching. Teachers would all talk to each other in passing in the hall, and the fourth grade teachers even had a group chat where they could communicate and ask questions during class time if they needed to. Mr. Reese always let me be in charge of communicating with the other fourth grade teachers, and thus this really helped me build and establish a great relationship with them. Establishing group chats between the grade level teachers is something that I really hope to be able to incorporate wherever I am fortunate enough to work. Also, all of the teachers in the school have weekly meetings one day a week at lunch to discuss the standards and lessons they will be teaching the next week. Not only that, but once a month, all of the teachers and administrators have a faculty meeting to discuss important topics and events going on in the school and/or community. Finally, I truly believe that the relationships I have built here at Walkerton Elementary will help me in my future teaching career. I have established great friendships with the teachers here, and I know that I can lean on them for any help and advice that I may need in my career. Some of them have even offered to write me letters of recommendation to help me attain my dream teaching position.